All right, so we have chosen games. We have got the judges who are gonna give out their points. One little point for something you can improve, and 1 point that you can have feedback on. And I will then announce each game, and then we'll progress from there. So for the overall winner, we have chosen Lightkeeper. So whoever wants to go first can give their 2 points to improve or not to improve, and also little clap,
little claps.
Congrats to Lightkeeper. So who wants to begin with the feedback and what they liked about it?
Go on, G.
Yeah, I've been kicking off the whole time, so I'll kick off with some feedback for Lightkeeper. Yeah, one thing we loved, one thing I think you could improve. I particularly loved the really simple core of the game, basically. The mechanical, the whole concept behind the game is really, really simple, really, really clean. And yet you've done so much with it, from building unique puzzles that get progressively more difficult, culminating in a really punishing, really challenging final segment, which I did eventually finish with enough work. But I think it's a really good and impressive display of a growing difficulty curve that gets increasingly more complex, culminating in something big, all built out of a really simple core idea. So massive props for that. In terms of something to improve, my main thing would be the dash as a mechanic is obviously core to the puzzles, and I think should definitely be there. But some elements of how it actually functions were quite difficult. Primarily the fact that you don't know where you're going. Sometimes you don't know the direction you're going to go in, and that it's easy to accidentally either dash the wrong way or not know how far you're going to go specifically. And in the final segment, knowing how far you're going to go can be quite important. My main feedback would be try playing around with some kind of indicator, some kind of way of indicating where you're going to land. And I think that could immediately just have such a massive impact on the game as a whole. But that's me.
I'll go next. So my favorite thing about the game was the tutorialization. I thought it was a really smart way to show the player what to do. I found it really clear. I'm super visual, so I really appreciated being able to see very visually what I needed to do. So I loved that. What I would like, not really a kind of fix or anything like that, but I would really like some more sound from the player character. I think the design is super cute and I really love them. So I just like to see, hear from them a bit more, whether it's bringing in a bit of narrative or just hearing them kind of have some little barks along the way. I think that would be really nice for the experience.
Mine's super simple. I really loved the styling of the game. I like the fact that there's this little pocket of light that has a really nice fade out, and you could just about see to the edge of the screen from the light. I actually preferred that to, because obviously they could have made it super dark around that edge, but I thought it just made it so it wasn't too hard. You could get the lamp close enough. So if you were to try and speed run it, you could be okay, that'll do there. Go do this here. Come back here. Move that over there. One thing that I would have liked is a recommendation for improvement is that it felt a bit too awkward for me to have to walk around the lamp. I would have much preferred it if I could just walk through, up, down, left, right, through the lamp to grab it, rather than having to grab it and then walk around it to move. Or even if it was a case of when you move left and right, you just kind of dragged it with you rather than having to do this to escape. But I mean, I think that's probably a taste thing, level of hardness versus level of easiness.
Yeah. So that's all comments we had for Lightkeeper. I will, if anyone's got any questions further, you can ask me in the server. I will drop down any other comments, as with all the rest of the games. So for the overall category winners. So we had 3 different categories. The first category we were going to look at is enjoyability. So this was basically how fun your game is to play. And the winner of that was Flower Pot. So another little round of applause for little Flower Pot. Fun little game. So again, whatever order you guys want to start with, something you enjoy and something to either fix or improve.
Awesome. Yeah, don't drop a Flower Pot. Firstly, massive props. I saw the description said this was your first Game Jam. So this is a crazy good game for a first Game Jam game. My first Game Jam game was not like this. So big props for that. My main thing I really, really liked is that the core idea behind the game, again, is super duper simple, but you've done a huge amount with it. I mean, there's 12 levels. They're all different. They're all unique. And ultimately, all you have is jump, sometimes double jump, and throw and catch. And out of that, you've made like levels with a varying level of challenge. Speaking of challenge, though, my main point of improvement would be that the game feels like it scales in challenge quite harshly. I only got up to level 7 before I was consulting the video, and then I tried doing what's in the video, and I also couldn't do it, probably because I'm incompetent. But yeah, I feel like maybe it might have been nicer to be introduced to like the more complex levels at a slower pace, and maybe have some more really, really simple levels early on to kind of guide you through it. But overall, love the game. Super duper fun. Super, super simple.
For me, so this was the only one where you weren't necessarily against enemies, you were playing against yourself, which I think was quite fresh, just having played through all these different games, and it felt a little less pressure, which was nice. And then for improvement, I'm going to build on what Gianni said on the difficulty, just having not just scale, but some sort of opportunity to tutorialize and test out the controls before you move on, I think would just be super helpful for any new players.
For me, although I wasn't very good at it, didn't get very far, I do love that it was a hard game. It kind of like, it felt like it was supposed to be a hard game. And the only critique that I have is that being able to throw your pot and then move was enough. Needing to catch it was just a step too far. It should be a lot easier to catch. Like if you're under it, then you catch it. And then maybe you can play around with like, at how fast an item falls, like, because you could build in variation of the items that you play with. But yeah, that's it for me.
Now, moving on to creativity, and for Stu's favorite game, Tiny Pocket. So, Stu, do you want to begin with something you enjoyed and something you'd like for them to improve on next time?
Yeah, this was my favorite game. I really love the aesthetic. I like the way that it looked. It felt, it looked and felt a lot more like 3D, and like that you could easily build upon that. I liked the layout of the game. The only thing that I would say you could work on is making it more puzzly. The items that you had, as an example, like between the stick and the sword, they seem to just do the same thing. I might be wrong, but like I seem to be able to do the same thing, both those items. So if it was a case of like a stick can break a certain thing or defeat a certain enemy, but you would need the sword to break something that's harder or defeat an enemy that's harder. Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
I'm going to go next, so we go backwards this time. I just changed mine looking at these because I love the name, honestly. I think it's a really great name. I feel like it's something that is really shareable and does what it says on the tin. Although, because I didn't read the instructions, I didn't realize how tiny the pocket was. But over time, I thought that was great. In improvement, I think the visual effects are really great. I would have loved some sound just to like round off the experience of when you're doing things. I think that would have just made it feel much more polished. And I guess if you have more time, I think that'd be a really great thing to add.
Cool, and that leaves me. For me, I loved the theme. I think your approach to the theme was super strong, super different. I think it's really easy to read the theme key item and think of one item that is going to be the central like crux of the game. Whereas this is that flipped on its head, where actually there's loads of items and it's just which one do you want at that one time. So yeah, I really, really love that about it. My main thing, building a bit on what Stu said, is I feel like there's loads of untapped potential in the idea. Like it hasn't really been lent into enough, that the game is built around the fact that you can only have one item at a time. It feels more like it's focused on combat and rather on this like one item element, where you could have built more puzzles to break up that combat, where you need to choose which item to take with you. And depending on that allows you to progress or not. And it give room for the player to experiment with the items themselves. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. To round off then the category winners, the final category was design of games. So this is basically how intuitively it was to pick up and play without being bombarded with tutorials or whatnot. The main category winner for that one was Prehistoric Pursuit. So again, little round of applause for them for winning that category. Very well done. Whoever wants to go first can begin. So Rox, if you want to go first this time, just to round off, someone go first.
Give me one first. So I am big into my horde roguelike shoot 'em ups right now, so this came at a great time. My favorite thing, which I think was super simple, is just eating people being an option. I think that was a really nice way to navigate around the map as you run away from everyone. Development for me, which I think we all said different ways that we could do this, but some sort of development in the gameplay, whether that's like a new environment or scaling hordes, or difference in either the enemies in like different ways that they're attacking you, or different kind of mechanics in that way, just to feel like you're progressing and changing through the game and make it a bit more playable. I'll go Stu.
Okay. Love dinos. Absolutely love dinos. More dinosaur games, please. For me, probably the weakest part was I guess what I would call pathing, like your ability to escape. And I personally would have preferred it if it was more like a protect the eggs scenario. So I was just running around in a circle trying to eat humans and avoid being jabbed. But yeah, that's basically it for me.
That's a sentence I never thought I'd heard. Running in circles trying to eat humans. Yeah, for me, I was also going to say I love that it's got dinosaurs in it. Everyone loves dinosaurs. And also just the fact that it actually drops you straight in the action. Like there's very little barrier to actually getting into what the core fun of the game is, which is running around, eating people, carrying an egg. In terms of room to improve, I feel like from a very like actual mechanical perspective, I would say when I won, it felt like it was partly skill and partly luck, and that most of the time the enemies around me, I was just hoping they wouldn't throw something at that exact moment, because otherwise I wouldn't have an opportunity to dodge it. And I think that highlights a separate thing, which is having some kind of warning, some kind of feed forward, like a precursor or a direction indicator before somebody attacks, probably help a lot with providing me as a player with agency, like me being able to make a tactical decision and go, oh, I see they're going to attack, so I'm going to move here. And that would make it feel a lot better, I think. When you win, you feel like you have, had to employ some strategy to get that victory. And as a small, very final note, the current main objective is just to get the best time you can. And there's no timer on the screen, that I could see. Or maybe I'm blind, but there's no timer on the screen. Adding a timer on the screen would already, I think, do a great job for getting people to keep playing and to improve that replayability.
All valid points. Thank you so much. And I think, obviously, just to give KeyQuest a little bit of something, I'll kind of summarize some general stuff. And if people want to chip in anything for KeyQuest particularly, obviously, KeyQuest, very solid game all round. Didn't particularly stand out in any one of the categories, hence why it didn't get anything in this case. But overall, as you guys have probably seen the intro, it did come second as in like overall thing, but just missed out. So again, congratulations on getting to top 5. But yeah, it just was missing like slight bits on each category to make it stand out over the rest. I don't know if anyone wants to chip in with what their main thing was that they liked and wanted to add into it. But at least for some of the notes that we had was literally, in terms of the theme, like it wasn't the most inventive with it because it kind of took it a bit too literally for a dungeon crawler particularly. But it did have a bit of fun with how you interacted with the key item in this case. But yeah, if anyone's got any other little points that they liked, anything that they wanted to improve for KeyQuest, we'll finish it off with that one.
Oh, looks like it's me. Me to you. I'm going to say one of the things I thought the game did really, really well, which there wasn't really a category for, is just that the controls were actually really smooth. Really tight, like polished, nice controls that felt responsive. It felt like I was in complete control all the time, and I wasn't trying to have to like wrestle the controls to get them to obey me. And it isn't really like a category for that, but I think that was done really, really well on KeyQuest.
I would just say that the only thing that I think, because I quite liked the time horsey, stocky, goey mechanic, I think just with all of the other mechanics involved, it could do with simplifying, like maybe making it so that instead of the key having health, the player had health, and yeah, then you could focus more on this whole stop-start thing, and play around more with that, I would say.
Yeah, just overall GG's, like we said, like really solid game, just missing that little bit of uniqueness. So yeah, really great job.
All right. Thank you once again, judges, for all of that. Hopefully I haven't the audio, so we'll see how it all sounds in the end. But yeah, any final closing thoughts on that you want to give them as a general piece of advice to the community? Because obviously this will probably be watched by the wider community that we have. So anyone got anything final thoughts or not, or if everyone is happy?
I would just say, like, well done. Like, making a game at all is like an achievement. Whatever level you got to, hopefully you had fun doing it. And as always with game jams, use it as a learning experience. Don't ever just think, oh, I didn't make the fun thing I was aiming to, or like we didn't get, if you didn't manage to like release the thing at the end or whatever, just know that your main goal with game jams is like make some friends.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna echo that basically and say you did a great job. Again, I think I said this at the start, but my first game jam game was nowhere near the quality of these ones. And so yeah, you should pat yourselves on the back for doing it and do more. Encourage you to do more and use each one as a way of refining that new skill. Take on something new, take on a new challenge, learn it over the week, and develop your skill set that way, because it's way more fun than just watching YouTube tutorials, and you end up with something cool at the end.
Yeah, 100%. Again, echo NG. Keep making games, please. We need them. It's super important, and there'll be people who really value the experience you're creating. So keep doing it.
Hell yeah. Also, I forgot to prep you guys for this one, but where can we find you guys? What are you guys doing next? This is your little spot for marketing, basically. I forgot to ask, but have you guys got any games coming up? Any projects that you want to let the world know about? Or at the moment, are you guys trying to keep things hush-hush for upcoming bits?
Leave that to Rocks.
Yeah, we have recently had a little break, but we came together again and had a little mini game jam of ourselves. So we're working on our first studio game. Called Violet's Visions. We will hopefully release a little bit more about the progress of that and what happens next, but you can find us in most places at Fribbly Games or Violet's Visions Games. So keep an eye out and play our game when it comes out, please.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. I will stop the recording and then we can debrief afterwards.